You know, honestly, this is kind of exciting. It's a little bit monumental within the brand, and we'll explain, obviously, because that's why you're here. My name is Peter, this is goodereader.com, and this is the first time we're able to compare Pocketbook against itself in a different light. So what that means is basically Pocketbook has always looked like this. Here it is. They make e-readers, and all pun intended, they make very good e-readers. They're shaped beautifully, they work phenomenally, they're very internationally friendly, they do everything you would ever want an e-reader to do, and they give you little pleasantry things, like things that people don't even give you anymore, like photo frame and gallery and a calculator. Why would you need a calculator on that? Well, it's better to have it and not need it, right? You even get a little bit of games down below. Pocketbook has always been one of those companies that preloads their devices with tons of content. Tons and tons of content. This is not sideloaded. This came on the device. They also have multiple bookstores as well as lending services. Like, I still can't pronounce it to this very day. Onlyhay? I think it is. We'll have to let you guys down in the comments correct me, but Onlyhay. Onlehi, whatever. Which is a lending service that connects to libraries. Well, Pocketbook recently has released a couple devices that look like this. Actually, you know what? Here, let me give it its own time to shine. This is a bigme created Pocketbook. This physically bigme created this, much like the color note that just came out. This is the EO. And this is not what you would expect Pocketbook to do. Google Play Store, note-taking with a stylus. This thing has speed modes via the eink center to speed it up. So if you go custom, you can now go HD 256, which looks great, but is very slow. Or you can go extreme mode. And when you go extreme mode, everything's very fluid. Everything pops up. Where's the settings? Right there. And then you pop over to the settings and it just, you know, zooms over there and you can scroll stuff and it's very usable. Well, this is so unlike Pocketbook to create something like this, and it's such a far departure from a Pocketbook like this. So with that introduction out of the way, we're basically looking at the differences between a Pocketbook e-reader and a Pocketbook e-note. We're not going to go over specs and stuff like that because they're going to be different from device to device. This is the Verse Lite, this is the EO, it's going to be different from the Color Note, this is going to be different from the Touch HD, etc. But just looking at them, what can they do? Now, the glow lights are off on both of these. You'll see the front light is off, although they have front lights. So you can do warm, you can do candlelight cool, and the same thing on this, you can turn the glow light on. So again, different Pocketbooks will have different glow lights, but we're going to turn it off because ever since like 2015, I'm not going to lie, glow lights aren't fun anymore. They used to be like, wow, this one really refined it, or this one's using more LEDs. They're just whatever now. They work, they look good. So with that, let's look at the screen colors, basically. You might be asking, why is this so white? And why is this so gray and purple and greens in there? That's because this is a color unit, and they're actually using colors to create white. So this has a color array filter, which is effectively a film that goes over it that is actually here. Let me reach off camera. It's like this. It's like a film that goes over it and it allows the unit to be in color. This one's a black and white unit, so they're not doing that. So with that, you get a very kind of whiter experience. Whereas this one is very dark and gray, and it's not Pocketbook's fault. Whether it's Onyx or Amazon or Kobo or bigme or any other brand, they look like this, and that's the only thing we can get right now because Kaleido 3 is the only usable tech. Now, they have Google Play on this, which means you can, well, go to Google Play and download millions and millions of applications. So that's something that we don't see on a lot of Pocketbooks. You can watch the review on that. This doesn't have that. You can't download any other apps, and the only apps that are here are the ones that are here. And you can't download WhatsApp or anything else. You can watch Netflix on this. You can go on your Facebook, on your Instagram, on your Snapchat, anything you want on this because it's got millions of applications. This can't. Also, when it comes to reading, obviously this is way bigger. And don't worry, they do still load you up with a bunch of books, even though it's an eNote. So for example, you'll see here, they have tons of books in different languages, Bulgarian, Russian, etc. So we're going to go to English, and we'll go to English on this, and we'll just choose some books and look out how they look side by side. I will tell you right now, because I already know these devices, this looks better. It looks way better. And that's because this is a color screen. You'll see that it looks great in color. Actually, you know what? Here, let's go over to the first page. I believe it should be the same. Yeah, it is. Cool. There you go. Good job, Peter. Thanks, guys. So this is color, which means you get yellows and oranges and red and all that stuff. And this one doesn't. It's black and white. So the advantage here is that this is color. And they also have color e-readers. But that aside, these are both Pocketbook products. You might be saying, well, you know what? That's bigger. You're right. It's a huge screen. In fact, I think this is the largest device they've ever made, technically, because the InkPad Lite was 9.7. The InkPad X, I believe, is, that might be 10.3. This is in the realm of the larger screens, 10.3 diagonal. This is 6. They made 6s, 7.8s, etc. So when you get an eNote, inherently it's going to be much bigger. You get more screen real estate. But it starts to change when you get into ebooks. And again, it has to do with the screen technology. Look how clear that looks. Seriously, look at it. It's so white. It's great. It looks so clear and crisp, and the contrast is glorious. I like it a lot. And then you go over to a Kaleido. Kaleido anything. Again, it's not just the Pocketbook. This is anything that uses Kaleido, and it's gray. The contrast isn't as good, and it's really, really slow. Again, you can change that by going to the e-ink center and swapping everything and refining it to your heart's content. So if we go to custom, there's a lot of things we can do now. We can go to HD256, which we showed you earlier, and we can turn anti-shake on, which helps with refresh. And we have contrast settings, vivid enhancement, color brightness. You can change all that. Really craft your own experience. Now, that's about as good as it's going to look, but it's still rather gray. And yeah, it is. Now, there's another advantage, that this has Wacom. And what does that mean? That means you can use these pens. This is an iFlyTech pen. This does not have a Wacom or an EMR layer. Can't write on it. That's not how it works. This does. So now I can take all my notes, and when you start doing that, you get a little palette. You can take all your notes. This is very, very useful. Suddenly becomes really useful. And that goes into the note-taking experience, which we'll get to in a second, which we actually, funnily enough, can compare to this. You'll see what we mean. So although this has a smaller screen, the advantages of the reading section is that it is compact, it's one-handed, it's very useful on the go, and gun to your head, it could fit in your pocket. And it's kind of the same size as a little tiny book. This is not a natural reading experience. It's huge, like you're holding a newspaper. Look how far apart your hands are. You'd never read a book like this. Technically, you can do it one-handed. It's swipe directional, so it's not as wieldy as a smaller unit, but it can do it. And now, other than that, reading aside, we're going to go into note-taking because that's basically enough on reading. Can they read books? Yes, they can. They can both read books, and they both do it pretty well. Now, it's actually not under notes here, you might say. You have to go to apps. So if we go to notes on here and scribble on here, you see where we're going with this. Now we can compare the note-taking experience. So what you would do is you get your pen and you can start erasing things. You can do area erase like that. And you can start drawing. And the note-taking feel and everything is decent. It's not as good as the Quaderno or the Remarkable 2 or the Remarkable Paper Plus, but it's pretty good and it's pretty quick. This is a scribble app. It's there as a pleasantry. It's not really meant to be used too much. Actually, you know what? I think this might work. This is a capacitive pen, I think. Might even work. No, it doesn't. Yeah, so you have to use your fingertips. So this is going to be the same as you interacting with it with your finger, and it won't do that on here because it's utilizing a different layer. When they make the screens, they have the actual display screen, then they put stuff on top of it. The capacitive touch digitizer, the color array filter, the EMR screen. So you start to increase these stacks. So it actually makes it look worse, but you can do more things. I can use my fingertip to select things via capacitive. I can use a pen from Amazon and iFlyTech and VWoods on this and start taking my notes and doing all my coloring and stuff like that. So that's really awesome in that regard. You can't really do that on the smaller units. You can only use your finger, and there's not really any features. There's a couple line thicknesses, and it's all very slow and sluggish, and there's no colors. There's just some shades of gray. It's not really meant to be used, and it's very poor. It's just there to jot things down really quickly, and it's there in a pinch if you need it, but it's not really meant to be used like that. So in terms of the notes, the eNote is where it's at, because that's why they made it. They made it for you to crack it open, take your notes, and you can even long press them and send them and move them and delete them and set them as your screensaver. You have a file explorer that goes between your pictures, your APK files that you want to install via the APK installer. You have videos on this. You have an external storage. You can use this as your solution for your workplace. You can even use it as a secondary monitor. You would go over to applications, go to Google Play, and download something that would allow you to extend this as a secondary monitor. And again, there's plenty of ways that you can change your experience. You can use glow lights, you can use the optimization, you can go to the eink center and just change everything you want and really make it your own. So that's how function heavy this unit is. Whereas the e-reader is simply just an e-reader. They have a modest little store, they got a browser that's not too quick, but when you want something that's pocket friendly, in the name Pocketbook, it makes a lot of sense to grab something like this because it's a one-trick pony, but by design. It's meant to be simple and easy and internationally friendly and have tons of content in tons of languages. Whereas if you want to be a little bit more ambitious and grab an eNote, just know that it comes with a bigger price tag, it's a lot more heavy, doesn't fit in your side bag. Although the positive is that it can do more things. It has so much more to offer. It even has a camera. We haven't seen the camera on an actual Pocketbook since the Pocketbook Ultra, and that was a long time ago. So when you are utilizing a Pocketbook eNote, you should know that there's a lot more stuff you can do, but there's always a trade-off. But it was just an interesting little look because, again, if you look at the timeline of Pocketbook up until 2024, you would never see these type of units. They've dabbled in a couple things in the past, with some color and some large screens back in 2012, 2013, but nothing like the modern age of an Onyx Books Note Air, a high read gaze plus C. Nothing that we define nowadays as an eNote. They've always made these. And now you have a decision to make when you buy a Pocketbook. Do you buy a regular Pocketbook e-reader, or do you buy the EO or the now released Color Note? They are making multiples of these units now. It wasn't just a one-off. They're making multiple things, and now they have things like, I just love this, hidden SD card slots and pogo pins. So when you go to buy a Pocketbook, it's not like the old days where you say, oh, I'm just going to buy the Touch Luxe or the Aqua or the Ultra or the Touch HD 3 or the Color. No. There's an entirely different realm that Pocketbook is dabbling in now. These guys are expanding quickly. They're doing photo frames and stuff now. It's crazy. And it bears mentioning that this is one of the first times we've seen the company divert from the path, just like Amazon with Kindles, Scribe, and Kobo. The Kobo does Kobo e-readers, Ellipsa. They branch out, they try something else, but it's here to stay. All these companies have these secondary kind of non-business as usual units that break the mold within their own brand. Hope this kind of opened up a little bit of an eye and shed some light on the situation that Pocketbook is no longer just an e-reader manufacturer. They are going into so much more. If you guys have any other questions, comments, or concerns, let us know down below.